Hello everybody, it is I, the great Clement, and today I am debuting a new format for this channel, ladies and gentlemen, because this is C Squared, a podcast that me and my friend Carolina are going to be doing every now and then.
Hi everyone, hello, I'm Caro, the other C. Me and him, C squared, perfect match. Haha, get it? Pun. I was hoping y'all would get that.
Clement starts with a C, Caro starts with a C, two C's, C2, C squared. Wait a minute!
Oh my god, we got an idea! Whoa! Even though it was my idea. I came up with the name! I jokingly said, like, I mean, both of our names start with a C, why don't we just call it C squared? And then he was like, oh, damn, well, actually, kinda right.
So, yeah, apparently people liked our conversation back in March when I was, setting things up, getting ready for a new computer and whatnot. They liked us talking about Majora's Mask and the Messenger and Octopath and all the things we talked about. So if you want to listen to that, go check out my videos, because, it's still there.
You can hear our lovely voices for 2 hours.
And so, yeah, I'm doing a podcast now. So, some people, they don't even watch my playthroughs. They just like listening to my sultry voice. Well, now you got more of it with no game footage.
And you can hear my lovely voice as well with no other game footage. Not like I do video commentary footage. I mostly do my content creation like with blogs and stuff. So it's not like you're hearing my voice all the time anyway, but the point is, we are here to give you our feelings, our thoughts about gaming and other things that we've been basically doing. Speaking of which, Clement, what has been up with you lately?
Well, let's see. Mostly, I've been reintegrating myself back into YouTube, because I haven't done it in a while.
Mm-hmm.
I've recorded DuckTales, I've recorded the next playthrough, and I've also recorded a lot of, individual one-offs. You'll see that later this week, everybody, but a lot of things keep coming up, and I just keep recording new stuff, and I'm also prepping for Steambot Chronicles, so I've been doing a lot of play testing of that, looking up guides to see if there's any secrets or hidden things that I've missed, and just optimizing what a good playthrough of the game should be. And I know that it's got, a good and evil morality system, so there's going to be, multiple playthroughs I have to do, and it's going to be something else, let me tell you. So I haven't really been playing Final Fantasy XIV as much as I would like, for those waiting for the Final Fantasy retrospective. I've just been recording so many other things.
Right, like you said that you have a lot of good stuff coming up. I personally have never played Steambot Chronicles. I've heard of it, but I always hear people say good things about it, so I'm looking forward to your playthrough.
Yeah, most people haven't played it,
Yeah.
I think it's one of those Atlas games that kind of flew under the radar. It got kind of goodish to mediocre reviews, but I think it's amazing. I really loved it when I actually got a hold of it, and I was just like, man, this should be more popular than it is. It was only released on the PlayStation 2. There is a PSP sequel. I haven't actually played it, but I'm not talking about the PSP game. I'm just talking about the original, and the original, it's awesome.
See, I figured you'd be the PSP person here, because, you still have yours, and I know you use it to, listen to music, you old dinosaur. Calling it an MP3 player. Please
don't expose me like this.
No, because, you're like, this is my MP3 player, and I'm like, well, you're old, because you use the term MP3 player.
I don't know what else to call it. I don't. Okay, for those who aren't in the know, I walk around for the exercise, and I like to have music with me because it's boring just walking with no soundtrack, no nothing. Hell, I even listen to Good Vibes Gaming's videos when I turn those into podcast audio. So, hi Derek, how you doing? I know you're listening.
I know he is. Hey, Derek.
But I always put it, and this is going to be so weird to so many people, I put it in my PSP. My Sony PlayStation Portable still works. I could still put audio on it, and I still use it to listen to music when I walk around town because it fits so nicely in my pocket. The music sounds so clear through my clip-on headphones. So, I listen to music on my PSP, not my Vita, not an iPod or Is iPod still a thing? It's not, right?
No, we use our phones nowadays. Our smartphones, our Android Galaxies. I don't know if you know what an Android Galaxy is, but they exist.
I think what this podcast is going to expose is that I am a fossil. I like what I like, and when I enjoyed it enough, I don't let go of it. I just hold on to it, and then the years pass, and when everyone's on their modern technology, I'm still listening to music on my PSP.
Oh my god, so I'm gonna go on a tangent for a little bit. So just to demonstrate this, the other day, Clement and I were talking, and I was showing him this meme, and I was like, look how much drip this person has, and Clement's like, I don't know what drip is. I call those younger terms.
To be fair, I don't think anyone was saying drip before this year.
There were a few. It blew up this year for some reason, but I've heard it used before.
I just know that it's like people post that picture of like the guy in the white and black hoodie. I don't know who that is. I don't know what that has to do with drip.
It's just immaculate. That's what the drip is.
Okay. Like, why can't they just look good? Why do they have to invent a name for it?
Oh, you don't understand. Shake.
I don't understand you kids. Nothing you do makes sense to me.
Anyway, enough talk about you being an old dinosaur fossil, because I want to talk about what I've been doing lately. So in the past year, while most of the world has, been locked up and we can't really go anywhere because of like how things are, I've delved into writing a bit. So I joined a few websites, and I primarily do writing on professional wrestling. I've delved into gaming sometimes, but it's mostly been wrestling. It's mostly been All Elite Wrestling, New Japan, all of those promotions, if anyone listening to this is a wrestling fan. And my audience grew to an amount I wasn't expecting, actually. So that was kind of shocking, to say the least. And what I've decided to do was I've decided to become independent, and I made my own website. So you can find my writings now on carotero.com. It's a new website that I launched a couple of weeks ago, and so far, as of this upload, I have 2 pieces up right now. I have a 3rd one coming up soon that will involve more wrestling, but that's just my project right now. I'm so proud of it. It's taken a few months to get off the ground. I have had to make a lot of hard decisions regarding like where I want my content to go, what I want it to look like. I've talked with Clement a lot about like advice on, like how to approach like getting into content creation and having like a growing audience, so it hasn't been easy, but I love doing it. I think this is gonna be like the beginning of something awesome, and yeah, like if you're interested, again, carotero.com for all of my stuff.
There should be a link in the description.
Check it out. I'm so proud of it.
Your last piece was on Kingdom Hearts, right?
Yes. So if you're interested on how a newcomer like me thought about Kingdom Hearts, definitely read about it on there. Spoiler alert, I love it a lot.
Of course you do. Everybody does. The only thing I do besides playing video games every now and then is watch movies. And obviously, the big hit video game movie that's out right now is Mortal Kombat!
Mortal Kombat! I can't do it myself. God, that scratches my throat, I swear.
I knew going into it that I was not going to love it as much as the original, because the 1995 version of Mortal Kombat I must have seen like 1,000,000 times at this point. Like, I feel like I watch that movie at least once a year. I can quote it like crazy.
Yes, you can. Like, my experience with like Mortal Kombat is that like I've casually played the games, but I'm not like, I haven't played every single title. Clement and I were hanging out in Toronto a couple years ago, and he showed me the movie, like the 1995 one, and I loved it. I thought it was super cheesy. I love the action. It's so quintessentially 90s that I can't even like describe it. I don't know. It's just it's great, and you wouldn't stop quoting the whole thing either.
It lives rent free in my head.
It does.
I just love all the actors. I think Kerry Tagawa is amazing as Shang Tsung.
Yes, he's so good in it.
Christopher Lambert as Raiden is like the perfect snarky thunder god. It's like, Raiden by himself is a pretty boring character, especially in the 90s when there wasn't much plot to these games. He's a guy who wears a pointy hat and he shoots lightning, and yeah, that's him. But the 95 movie made him kind of like sarcastic and just kind of like blasé about the fate of Earthrealm, Like he's just telling all the heroes that like everything's rusting on your shoulders. Sorry. Like he's amused by this. Mm-hmm. And Johnny Cage is just Johnny Cage is the best character.
So good. Mm-hmm.
He's so funny. Everything he says is like not wacky. Oh my god, why would he say that? Just like something I would actually say.
I can see that.
I love it. I love that movie. And so because I love that movie so much, I knew going into this one that like it's too much a part of me. It's too much a part of my soul that I can't see myself liking the 2021 version more than the 1995 version.
Of course.
And I don't. But if you just want a fun popcorn movie that's going to make you laugh and has a lot of fun kung fu fights, it's not a terrible movie. You could do worse.
Like, it does enough for me. Like, I don't expect Mortal Kombat to have the deepest plots. And I know, like, the games go into some deeper themes, but, like, what I'm trying to say more specifically is, like, I didn't expect the movie to have, like, Oscar-nominated, like, deep storytelling, which apparently is a point of criticism that some people are bringing up. I'm like, come on. It's Mortal Kombat. If I want a violent movie, if I want blood, if there are good action scenes, it's Mortal Kombat. I'm gonna dig it, Like, it's fun. It's a fun hour and a half. Like, it was fun watching it with, like, my friends and with some popcorn and drinks.
And the Academy Award for Best Picture goes to Mortal Kombat.
The 95 song just plays as everyone just goes up on stage, like at the award shows.
Oh my god, you just see Meryl Streep rocking out. And
the voiceover also goes, Mortal Kombat is also won for best sound editing and visual effects.
That would be one hell of an alternate timeline. Mm-hmm. I think my criticisms with 2021's movie is that mostly it's a quick, fast-paced movie. Like, it just keeps freaking moving. It's like you don't really have time to breathe when they're just like kind of dumping plot on you, and it's like, all right, you have to go to Minnesota to go meet up with Sonya Blade. Okay. 2 seconds later, he's in Minnesota meeting Sonya Blade.
Yeah.
And, they're just going over, like, all these people have dragon tattoos, and there's this thing about a tournament, and there's this thunder god named Raiden, and we have to go find him. I know where he is. Okay, let's go find him. And then they just cut to the desert, and they're already like, I fucking hate you. I hate you. And then Sonya and Kano start fighting.
I'm surprised that, like, I forget the main guy's character, Cole, I think.
Cole Young.
Cole Young. I'm surprised Cole Young just, like, didn't lose his shit. He was like, what the fuck is going on? What is this? Who are you? What is this legend? What is this tournament? Like, I'm surprised he just didn't, like, just lose or freak out his shit over. He's just kind of like, okay, I guess I'm gonna have to do this thing.
He goes from, like, meeting a man who can shoot snow out of his fingertips to fighting a lizard who's invisible.
Right.
And Kano had no problem ripping that bastard's heart out. Good lord.
Speaking of Kano, it was probably my favorite part of that movie. I love Kano in the movie. He's so funny.
I have heard that a lot, and I'm very surprised. Like, both at the fact that Kano is the highlight of the Mortal Kombat movie, but also at, like, I'm surprised he connected with so many people. I don't know.
Okay, so is he like that in the games? Because I don't know, like, because he said you were surprised by Kano being the highlight. Like, what is he like in the games, though?
Well, it's just like the 95 movie where he killed Sonya Blade's partner. Right, Sonya hates him. They're these bitter rivals. He's working for the bad guys from the get-go. Mm-hmm. There was never him teaming up with the good guys at all. He was always part of Outworld and working for Shang Tsung and selling them, guns and stuff. He's just a smarmy asshole. He's not nearly as funny in the games. He's cocky and he's arrogant and he's an asshole and, But in this movie, because Johnny Cage is not in the 2021 movie, I guess they needed a comic relief. And Jax is somewhere else for a good chunk of the movie. Sonya's not really supposed to be comic relief. Liu Kang is the noble monk. Cole Young is just kind of a blank slate for the viewer. So I guess they just thought, well, Kano, he's Australian. He's eccentric. He's got a big fuck-off knife. So let's make him the comic relief. And he's just cranking out jokes. He's so impatient over everything. And he's just like, when do I get to shoot fireballs? He's just like this. I think he reminded me a lot of like Deadpool in this movie.
Yeah, I can see that. Mm-hmm.
Like not in the sense of like fourth wall meta breaking stuff. More in the sense,
kind of like being like a smartass.
Yeah.
Kind of just being like comical about everything.
And he never, like, at one point, Kun Lao agrees, and he agreed with me when he said, this guy never shuts up. He's always talking in every scene. I mean, the one thing this movie's definitely got over the original, it's violent. It's rated R.
Mm-hmm.
It's got cursing, it's got decapitations, and people get cut in half, and there's blood and guts and bone and everything.
And frozen blood.
Like, if you were mad that the 90s Mortal Kombat movies were too tame and they weren't violent enough, oh no, this is like the games. Yeah. This is like the games.
You get it here. You get all the violence here. And it's great.
I mean, at some points it feels like the characters are just sort of shrugging it off. Like, early in the movie, when Reptile attacks them, there's like this point where Sonya's like throwing knives at Reptile, and then she throws a knife right at Kano's leg, and it gets launched into his leg, and he's like, ah! Never has a bad leg for the rest of the movie.
Just walk it off. It's a video game.
Whatever.
In a video game, it'll heal on its own.
That's like totally in keeping with the games, because the games have like these crazy X-ray moves where like you could poke out a dude's eyeballs and somehow the fight's still going. You could snap his neck, snap his back, break his arm. The fight's still going. Whatever.
No, Clement, they just spontaneously grow their body parts back. Like when you shoot out an eyeball, another eyeball grows back like whoop.
It's Mortal Kombat power. It doesn't need to make sense.
No.
And to be fair, this movie at least has some kind of internal logic where it's like, well, people have this dragon tattoo. And so when they have the dragon tattoo, they can shoot fireballs and stuff. So, maybe regeneration's a thing with Kano's leg. I don't care. I'm not going to be screaming in my movie forums being like, why didn't he hold his leg the rest of the movie? Yeah.
There should be no regeneration in my Mortal Kombat. I'm going to tweet on Twitter, #cancel Mortal Kombat.
Kano should be handicapped the whole movie.
Oh my god.
But yeah, the plot moves pretty quickly. The characters... as a non-Mortal Kombat fan, I guess I would ask you, did you have trouble following the plot? Did you have trouble understanding what was going on and who these characters were and how they related to each other? Or was any of that an issue?
No, not really. But you're also talking to someone who, like, at the same time, I know, like, basically the general knowledge about Mortal Kombat. Like, I know about, like, the different realms, like, I know that. Like, whatever my roommates played with Mortal Kombat 11, I've seen him play it. Like, I know, like, that lore.
Yeah.
So I guess in that sense, like, it wasn't really too confusing for me since I already had, like, general knowledge of the characters. I was like, hey, that's rated. Oh, that's Sonya Blade. And,
Yeah. I just feel like for a lot of people, they're going to jump into this movie and there's just going to be this guy named Shang Tsung. And is he the ruler of Outworlds? They never clarify that he's working for Shao Kahn or anything.
Right.
Prince Goro shows up, and is he important? Not really, because he's a jobber in this movie.
Nah.
And they got Melina, but they don't have any of Katana or any of that dynamic going on. So Melina's just a girl with size and a weird mouth, and that's really all you need to know.
Mm-hmm.
I think the 95 movie definitely has a more emotional core. I think there's a lot more growth in the story and a lot more impactful emotional moments. 2021 ends on a cliffhanger. 2021 definitely is like, oh, the story's not over. We're going to have another movie. And to be fair, the 95 movie was like that too.
Well, we definitely got a sequel to the 95 movie, that's for sure, which I still want to watch, by the way. I'm just so curious. I need to know how Annihilation is.
I'll say this, 2021 is a better movie than Mortal Kombat Annihilation. It is
Any
definitely
movie is better than Mortal Kombat Annihilation, I'm sure.
Although don't get me wrong, Annihilation is one of those so bad it's good movies for me, where it's a bad sequel to the original. It's a bad, dumb movie. It's got some of the worst lines you've ever heard.
Mhm.
Mother, you're alive. Too bad you will die. It's so bad, but it's entertaining. Like I still think the fight scenes are pretty fun, and it's still got that techno, amazing, cheesy 90s soundtrack that I love.
Right.
And it's not as good as the first one, but it's worth watching just for how much of a train wreck it is, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
But there are a lot of fun callbacks, a lot of fun nods if you're not a Mortal Kombat fan. For example, when they get to the Shaolin Temple and they meet up with Raiden, Kano tries to steal this little trinket.
Yeah! My roommate is a big Mortal Kombat fan, so he was flipping out when he saw that, and he was like, oh my god, they did not! And I'm like, what? And he was telling us what it was, and I was like, oh, nice.
The trinket he tries to steal is Quan Chi's amulet from Mortal Kombat 4 and onwards.
Mm-hmm.
At one point, they're walking past all of these murals and these paintings and stuff, and they actually show characters from the games that, again, you might not know them if you don't play them, but it's like, oh, there's Argus, the father of Taven and Dagon from Mortal Kombat Armageddon. And that's a deep cut. Who wants to reference Argus? I don't know, but there's a painting of Argus in the movie, so that's a thing. You know, they casually name drop stuff like Liu Kang says that his master is Bo Rai Cho, and that is his master in the video games. Bo Rai Cho was a playable character from 5 onwards, so. And, yeah. It's got a lot of love for the material. It definitely is very violent. It's very cheesy. It's very dumb.
But I mean, like, at the same time, like, you know, it's good. Nothing more, nothing less. It's a good watch.
It's a fun time for what it is, but, you know. Didn't blow me away, but I had a good time. And that's Mortal Kombat.
Yep.
But another movie I saw earlier this month was on Netflix, and you can all watch this too if you have a Netflix account, and that was The Last Blockbuster. So, like we've established earlier, I'm a fossil. I was born in 88, I lived mostly in the 90s, and in the 90s and the 2000s, I frequented video stores all the time, you know?
Right.
I actually didn't have a Blockbuster in my corner of Canada. There were Blockbusters in Canada, but where I was specifically, I had like all these different video chains, like James Video and Video Network and all this other stuff. And
Right.
And watching The Last Blockbuster is pain for me.
Yeah, like, I say that, like, you're old, but I'm also kind of on the older end, too. Like, I was born in 96. And around, like, the time I started going to Blockbuster, because there was one, like, 5 minutes away from my house, like, it was, like, at the peak, you know, where, like, everywhere you went, there were, like, Blockbusters. And the video experience of, like, going to the store and renting was just really nostalgic to me. That's how I, like, watched, like, all the Karate Kid movies and, like, a lot of animated films, you know. And you could rent video games, too, from Blockbuster. Like, it was great. It was awesome.
Oh, yeah. And The Last Blockbuster just is about, well, the last Blockbuster. There's only one left in Bend, Oregon.
Yep.
The documentary mostly talks about, like, the legacy of Blockbuster, but it also focuses a little bit on the owner of The Last Blockbuster, a woman named Sandy Harding, and it goes into how she, you know, upkeeps this place. Like, the most interesting thing I found out about The Last Blockbuster is that they're still using old computers. They're still using, like, really ancient technology in order to keep track of everybody's, like, you know, rentals and whatnot. So she actually has to hunt down old computers to find old components to put and update her current, like, Blockbuster computer in case it breaks down, you know?
Yeah, that is, I can't imagine. That's wild. Especially in this age, it's, like, so hard to get, like, older computer parts anymore, you know?
Like, you would think instead that they would just get a better, more modern computer and just put the list or whatever they need to do on that computer, but I guess it's not that easy. I don't know. So, it's not just a blast from the past of the forgotten concept of a video store, but even just like her using old computers and stuff is like, oh man, God, this is taking me back. Oh Jesus.
Remember playing games on like those old bulky computers. I just remember my old Macintosh I used to have at school.
What games did you play in the Macintosh?
I don't remember. They're like these educational games. I don't even remember. But yeah, those really old ones,
I can't think of the name of it, but when I was in school, there was this one where you were this guy in a blue coat and you had a red hat and you had to like solve math problems and science problems in order to build some kind of like airship. And there was a weird looking doctor. And I know people in the comments are going to be like, I know exactly what you're talking about. And they're probably writing the name of it in the comments. I'm sorry, my memory is so foggy, but that's what everyone was playing at my school all the time. Because it was educational, And the teachers are like, well, it helps them learn math and stuff, so screw it. The Last Blockbuster also has a whole bunch of celebrities like Kevin Smith and James Arnold Taylor, and a lot of celebrities used to work at Blockbuster, so they're giving their tales of what it was like to work there and whatnot, and God, that hits home for me. Oh my God.
I'm sure, like, again, Netflix is great and all, but I miss going out to a store to physically, like, get something. Like, the last thing I think I ever rented from Blockbuster, don't laugh, Clement, but
okay.
The last thing I ever rented from Blockbuster, I remember, was the WWE movie The Chaperone with Triple H. That's the lasting legacy of Blockbuster that I'll forever carry with me. And I don't know if I should be proud of that or not, because it's a pretty horrible movie. Don't watch it.
I love that. I just remember liking the box art because it's clearly photoshopped and it's clearly bullshit. But
yeah. Just like the movie.
I also remember the very last movie I ever rented in a video store because, and this is the movie, Bitch Slap. Bitch Slap came out in like 2010, 2011, sometime around there. And it's one of those like grindhouse exploitation movies that's like, it's a fan of its sleazy sex and violence and stupid shit, And it's got one of the hottest lesbian sex scenes I've ever seen in a movie. So, and that's always fun when you're watching a movie with three friends. You're watching a movie with three friends and then a hot lesbian sex scene happens.
What's up? Are you guys watching porn all by yourselves? Nah, I'm with my boys. Have you heard of that meme? Is that that's what that reminded me of?
I can't say I have.
Good meme. But yeah. Well, Blockbuster sure took a bitch slap to the face from Netflix, I'll tell you that.
No. Too soon.
It'll always be too soon for you.
But yeah, it reminds me so much of like my childhood and just reminds me of like James Video was a store I went to all the time and it burned down in like 99, 2001, somewhere in that ballpark. But that store, for whatever reason, the owners of that store, it rented out video games and it rented out movies and it also rented out porn. So you go to the movie section, right? And they got all the VHS tapes. Again, this is 1999, so it's VHS tapes. You see all these movies, but then you look at the very top of the shelf. You look at the very top, right next to the ceiling. And that's just naked ladies everywhere. Porn everywhere. Because this store, for whatever reason, they didn't have like a porn section. They didn't have like a little curtain that you went through and then, oh, look, it's the porn aisle. No. They just thought, like, we want to sell porno, but we don't have any room. There's only one space for all of this. So,
right.
Regular movies on the aisles, but the very top aisle, porn. Just big boxes of VHS porn.
So they didn't even, like, cover them with, like, a blinder or something?
No!
Okay,
nothing!
That's so weird. Because, like, there was a video store, like, in the mall when I was a kid. And I would go there. and it was a similar thing. Like, all the, like, XXX rated porn stuff was in the back.
Yeah.
But at least when you went there were, like, little black plastic dividers that covered, like, you know, the DVD or VHS covers.
Yeah.
And you'd have to ask a store associate to be like, hey, I want to rent, like, I don't know, Girls Gone Wild. You know, you'd ask a store associate that, and then they'll just, like, take it off for you and then, you know, take you to the register. So I'm kind of surprised that, like, they just kind of left all the tits out in the open for you.
It was amazing because I would go to the store with my mom, right?
Right.
And we would rent PlayStation games, N64 games, and movies. But the thing was, every time we got to the movie section, she's just like, keep your eyes down, Jamie. Keep your eyes down.
Was she just like, keep your eyes down? Not even like an explanation.
Well, I mean, she knew. I knew. We all knew. But it's just, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, why didn't we go to another video store? Well, you know, this one had a better library than the other one. Mm-hmm. Sax Video didn't have anything compared to James Video, but, you know. And, but then things got really awesome when we got Video Network. Video Network was our big chain. This is the one with like 8 aisles worth of movies. This is the one that looks like a Blockbuster in terms of its size, in terms of its scope. And they also rented out video games. So, you know, I could get PS2, GameCube, Xbox games. And me and my friend Norm, we would just constantly go into this video store and just check things out. Hell, okay, I talked about this with you regarding school, and I was shocked to hear this.
Yeah.
But in Canada, at least where I'm from, when we take our lunch break, you know, we just had our first 2 classes. It's like 11:35 p.m. or sorry, a.m. And now we have an hour. We have until 12:35 to just do whatever we want somewhere else. We don't have to stay on the school grounds. We don't have to stay on school property. We can go back home and eat lunch. We can go back home and watch TV. The point was we just had to be back by 12:35 so that they could keep and track our attendance.
Not to sidetrack from this, I was so shocked when I heard this, because, like, you have nothing like that in the United States. At least with my high school, you had to stay in there for lunch. They'd have, like, security guards and teachers manning all the exits. So if a student tried to get out, they were like, yeah, you're busted. The only places we could go to were, like, either, like, the cafeteria, the library, or the band room. And I hung out a lot in the music room because I was, a band student back then. So that's where I spent my lunch, just not on school grounds. But anyway, go ahead.
When you told me this, I was shocked. I was like...
Yeah, I was shocked when you told me what, like, you were allowed to go out. Because I was like, wait, what? You know?
Like, literally, me and my friends made it a habit after school, like, during lunch hour, to just, like, walk to the convenience store and get pizza. Just, like, we used to eat in this parking lot that was, like, next to the post office. And we would just constantly eat pizza in that parking lot every lunch hour. And we just take walks. And then we would always end right back at Video Network, the video store. And we would just constantly look at all the different box arts, box cases for all these movies we had never heard of, and like horror movies, romance movies, sci-fi movies, you name it. And one of my favorite covers ever that I will always remember, that I want framed on a wall one day, is the box for the 80s movie Malone, starring Burt Reynolds.
Please tell me you're going to bring that up for everyone to see. Because I love that cover so much.
It's on screen right now. I remember seeing that cover, and me and Norm would just die laughing. We were just, it was so cheesy and so schlocky of a box art that we were like, this is amazing. And then we had to eventually rent the movie at long last because we were like, well, we gotta know. This box is so awesome and so badass. Burt Reynolds looks like a fucking champ. I gotta know how this movie is. And then we got Malone, and Malone was just kind of eh. It wasn't that great, but you know.
Well, don't judge a book by its cover.
Clearly. But that's the fun of a video store, you know? You never know what you're going to get. You just look through the aisles and you look at the front and you look at the back and you go, this looks kind of dumb and fun. I want to see this. And this led to us finding one of my favorite movies ever to watch during Christmas time, because I never would have given it a shot had we not seen it in the video store. And that is Santa's Sleigh, starring Bill Goldberg.
The best thing that Bill Goldberg has ever done with his career. I love Santa's Sleigh so much. It's such a wild, shocky movie. It's fantastic.
Like, I'm gonna post that box art as well.
Yes, do it.
And I know you're looking at that and you're going, wow, this looks like crap. This is going to be terrible.
No,
I promise you.
It is so good.
I promise you that Santa's Sleigh is one of the, not ironically, but legitimately funniest horror movies I've ever seen. And it was like, it starts out with this like crazy special guest star cast opening where Fran Drescher and James Caan and Chris Kattan are all eating Christmas dinner, and then fucking Santa comes in through the chimney and he kicks the dog.
That opening gets me every single time. I lose my shit every time I see it. Like, I remember just watching it like the first time and I just burst out laughing. I'm like, oh my god, what the fuck is this? Goldberg, what the fuck are you doing?
Me and Norm genuinely, when we saw Santa's Sleigh, we had to pause. We had to pause and like stop the movie for 5 minutes because we were laughing so hard. Because we were not expecting this. We were expecting some schlocky horror movie that just happens to star Bill Goldberg. And what we got was one of the funniest fucking things I've ever seen. You know, so that's a great story about being in a video store, is like you just discover fun things with your friends. And that was always the best part, was that, you know, you got out of the house,
right.
You walked through the aisles, you talked with your friends and your potential significant others. This looks kind of fun. Are you into this? Are you into that? Are you into this? Are you into that? And, you know, it was great stuff. And for me, the last time I ever had a video store was in 2013. And yeah, then they just closed because digital streaming was all the rave, and, you know, the rest, as they say, is history.
Yeah, the Last Blockbuster talked about this a big deal, but when Netflix was starting up, Netflix knocks on Blockbuster's door and they're like, hey, why don't we work together? And Blockbuster was like, LMAO, no, and shut the door on it. Well, look where we are now. Sad.
Yeah. Yeah, I just miss that community, that sense of community, because it's true. I actually was close friends with like almost every single video chain owner in my area. Like, this one guy, JJ, ran a video game store, and this is how I rented a whole bunch of obscure video games and whatnot. And because I kept coming in every single week to rent a new video game, to spend $5 to have a fun weekend with something, he just naturally was like, hey man, what's your name, by the way? I keep seeing you in here. And I'm like, Jamie, And then we just bonded and we became friends. And when everything's digital, when everything's on Netflix and streaming and
right.
PlayStation stores, it's like, it's not quite the same, you know?
Yeah. At least, like, game stores are still a thing, you know, where you buy games.
Yeah. Still.
As kind of like, as GameStop, EB Games, however you want to call it, is, like, at least I can still get physical video games there.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, sorry I didn't talk about the quality of the documentary itself. Mostly the documentary was just a vehicle for me to lament the fact that video stores are no longer with us, for the most part, you know.
Blockbuster, like, I forgot to mention this, introduced me to all the Star Wars movies, too. Because, like, again, time showing itself, but, when Revenge of the Sith was coming out, I remember renting episodes 1 and 2. And I liked episode 1, and then episode 2 was just like, nope. I didn't like it as a kid. I watched it a few months ago. Still don't like... Well, actually, it's kind of changed.
Oh?
I like it. It's a guilty pleasure. I think episode 9 is worse. But
Ooh.
we're not gonna delve into Star Wars talk right now, because I want to move to our next topic, if you can, Clement.
God damn. The only thing I'll say before we move on is that Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, was the first time I ever fell asleep in the theater.
Damn.
And that was Star Wars! A movie I never expected to fall asleep to, but, you know, they just had those boring talkie scenes, and Obi-Wan's in the clone factory, and I'm just like, me, and that was it.
You didn't find the scene where Anakin's like, I killed all the men, and the women, and the children too. You didn't find that riveting cinema?
I might have if I was awake for it.
Dang.
So... But, you know, you will be missed, video stores, and who knows, maybe one day if madness strikes me, maybe I'll actually go to Bend, Oregon, and check out the Last Blockbuster for myself.
God. Like, legit though, I was gonna suggest that, like, when things are better, and you can come to the United States, legitimately, we should go. I think it'd be great. I've never been to the Pacific Northwest. I think that would be fun.
I guess I'll have to set up an account and rent something, because that would be rude, just to show up and not get anything, but...
Yeah.
But yeah. Something similar in the same vein, because I actually mentioned PlayStation Store, and, you know, you can rent things on the PlayStation Store, like, I can rent a movie for $5, and then I have 2 days worth of access of that movie on the PlayStation Store. Not nearly as intimate as the video store, but whatever. But the other thing I wanted to talk about, which kind of came and went, it's been resolved, but I still wanted to talk about it, was the PlayStation Store originally, they were going to be closing down their stores. They were going to be closing down all of their digital services on the PlayStation 3, the PSP, as well as the Vita, and then all those PS1, PS2 games, all those PS3 digital exclusive games like Infamous Festival of Blood, all of that going bye-bye. Sorry, no more Dino Crisis in 1080p, no more Crash Bandicoot, Metal Gear Solid, Persona 3 and 4 in 1080. Well, Persona 4 Golden exists, but you get the point.
Yeah.
Luckily, fan backlash was so big and so loud that...
Really loud.
So they reversed their decision, but, you know. God.
It's just so ridiculous that they even thought of that in the first place. Because, like, I'm thinking from, like, a game preservation standpoint. Like, there's so many games that are only available, like, through the PSN store, you know?
Yeah.
If you don't want to, like, consider emulation. And, like, the fact they're like, oh, well, we're gonna cut this off. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, what? I don't get it.
There's so many convenient, like, easy access to games there. Like, when I think of, like, being a Shin Megami Tensei fan, you know, people are excited for that HD remaster of Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne coming out. You can get that on PS3 right now.
Yeah.
If you want a 1080p version of that PlayStation 2 game, that original non-tampered with version, then you can get that. You can get Digital Devil Saga and the Persona games, and all of that would be gone. And then you have to go on eBay to find Digital Devil Saga, and you got to go on eBay to find a copy of Persona 3 and 4. And it's like, good lord.
Yeah.
It's just so much convenient access to a great library of games. And when I think of, like, the 1,000 gigs of, like, the new Call of Duty or whatever.
Yeah.
When I think about how big these PS5 and Xbox Series X games are getting in terms of file size, PlayStation 1 games, they're tiny compared to all that stuff. You sure there's no server you can just put on somewhere to keep on for a while? I don't know. And yeah, I don't know. It's just, I'm always fascinated that, like, they never brought the classics to PS4 and PS5.
Yeah, because, like, I've always wondered about that. So, like, for the record, like, I used to have an Xbox 360 and a PS3, but they both broke. Especially the PS3. So, coming from someone who only has a PS4, there's no way for me to play the games from the PSN store. hopping everything over to PS4, because there's a ton of people who would be like interested in that, you know.
It's like, it never made sense to me. I just remember thinking when I got my PS4, like the first day, I'm going through the store and I'm just like, where's the classics section? I want to download Metal Gear Solid 1. And, oh, the PS4 doesn't have a classics section. Well, that's strange, because like you'd think it's the PS4. Certainly, it's more powerful than the PlayStation 3 and the Vita and the PSP. If the PSP can handle these games, why can't my PS4? Why didn't they just port that infrastructure? And I'm sure that like the answer is like, oh, well, licensing, and you have to renew contracts, and oh, we agreed to sell the game on PS3. We didn't agree to sell the game on PS4. You owe us money or something like that. I'm sure that's the case. But
right.
When you have so many like first party games like Crash and Spyro and all these games that would be happily like, yeah, use our games on PS4, use our games on PS5. Why not? We want the series to still be in the subconscious of everybody's minds. Why not? It's just like, I don't get it. Why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah, like, there's so many games on the PSN store that I've always wanted to play. Like, a big one that everyone was, like, you know, screaming about when Sony was making their decision at first was Parasite Eve. Because Parasite Eve is on PSN, and I've never played Parasite Eve. I've always wanted to play it. But eliminate that, and unless you have the PS1 version of that, there's no way to play it. You know, like, I just did that as an example. But
I remember one of the highlights of my Tron Bon LP was that while I was recording that game, while I was doing the playthrough of that game, they announced that Tron Bon was coming to PSN.
I remember that, yeah.
And I was playing an authentic PlayStation version in the PlayStation with my CD because there was no other way to get access to it.
And, like, even before then, like, the copies of Tron Bon were fucking ridiculous. They were, like, what, $300? $250? Like, if you went to a con, because, oh my god.
I was a little bit lucky. I say a little bit, because I still paid way more than it's worth. But I got my copy at $120.
What?
It was double the price it should have been. But I was like, I need a copy. I got the money to spare. I've really wanted to play this. And I'm like, it's not 200, it's just 120. Fuck it, I'll get it.
Cause like every too many games, every MomoCon that I go to, like Trombon's like, oh, $250 to $300, and I'm like, nope. I love my surfbots, but nope. I don't got that money.
And you know, money well spent because the game works and it came with the manual and the Legends 2 demo disc, so I got everything that it was. But I still paid way too much money for a game that everyone deserves to play. That game's amazing. I love the misadventures of Tron Bon. And when it came to PSN, you know how much it was? Like $15.
Yep.
Like $15.
A sigh of relief for gamers everywhere.
And like, wow, what a deal for this game that's impossible to find, that's way too expensive, that was one of Capcom's better, more underrated titles that everyone should be aware of. And it's like, man, thanks PlayStation Network, thanks PS Store, thank you for letting me have access to this game I've never had access to before. But of course, had PlayStation gone down, taken down the store later this year, then say goodbye to Tron Bon. You gotta pay $100, $200, $300 again.
Back to eBay.
Ludicrous.
I know.
And it just makes me think of like the legacy of digital content and the legacy of preservation with video games, because, you know.
Yeah, like, just in general, I prefer having physical copies of my games. Like, if I have to go digital, like, recent example I can think of is, like, Animal Crossing New Horizons I have digitally, so then I won't have to switch the card back and forth every day, because it's a game that you play daily.
Yeah.
But other than that, like, rare case, I prefer to have my games digitally. It's like sentimental. It's sentimental for me as well.
Yeah. I like having things on my shelf. I like going, look, these are all the games I like. These are all the things I own. I make money. People trust me to hire me for jobs.
I make bread, and good bread too.
You know, it's like right now I just finished up a playthrough of DuckTales Remastered, a game that does have physical copies out there, but you're more than likely going to find it through digital means. You're going to find it on Steam. You're going to find it on the Wii U shop. Yes, if you're still playing the Wii U. Well, the Wii U, I just went back and played the Zelda games. I talked about this in the last podcast, but I played Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask through the Wii U. And, you know, the Switch doesn't have an N64 online service.
But they should.
The Wii's Virtual Console is dead. And, like, what else do I have to play it today in 1080p in any ease of access kind of way but the Wii U shop, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And, like, sure, I'm not playing my Wii U regularly, but the fact that it has those shops and the fact that it has those retro games upscaled to 1080 that I can easily download and play is convenient, because then I can experience the past again, experience the 90s games again, without having to pull out all these consoles that I have to maintain, because some of them might break down. I've gone through 2 PlayStation 2s, I've gone through 2 Xbox 360s.
Gosh.
And it sucks when they break. It sucks, because then you gotta find another version.
Yep.
And it's like, it's always a random crapshoot.
I was lucky that my PS2 never failed on me. Like, I still have the original fat model. That still works for me.
Really?
Yep, the original one I got when it released. Still working. The only thing it doesn't do anymore is that it doesn't play PS1 games and DVDs anymore. I guess because of the chip inside or whatever. But PS2 games, fine. Like, when I played Final Fantasy X a couple years ago, for the first time, I played it on, like, my actual PS2 console.
Yeah.
Xbox 360, though, yeah, I've gone through a few.
That lovely red ring of death.
Red ring.
So yeah, I'm just saying that, like, if you're a YouTuber, a content creator, or even just a hobbyist who likes ease of access with their games, you know, I own a PlayStation 3, and I have downloaded quite a number of games to it. I have, like, every Mega Man game on it. So X4, X5, Legends, Tron Bond, Legends 2.
X6?
Not on the PlayStation service.
Really?
They have taste. They know that it's a bad game and no one should play it. But, you know, if you want a 1080p version of Metal Gear Solid 1, think about downloading that game right now, because you never know when they might decide to cut it. They might decide to delist it. They might decide to just pull the store altogether. Pay attention to, you know, what people recommend as, like, the best 360 digital-only games. PlayStation 3 digital-only games. Pay attention to all that stuff, because you never know when those are going bye-bye.
You never know when they're going back into the Disney vault. As some people like to put it. Except we're talking about the Sony vault this time.
Yeah. Did you ever download Fire Emblem, the original, on Switch?
No, I haven't gotten a chance to get to that yet.
Too late! It's gone!
God damn it! When was it taken off? Was this
same
something
day
that
as
I
Mario?
missed? What?
Yeah.
What? No!
Okay,
What?
I thought you knew about this.
No,
I thought you knew about this.
Oh no! I'm sad.
Oh wow.
No! How can I play it now? I thought you were shitting. I thought you were, like, kidding.
I was just making a joke. I didn't realize you didn't actually know this.
No, I didn't know. Keep this footage in here. It's okay.
For some reason, they decided that, like, hey, we bothered translating, adding speed up features, updating the original ever Fire Emblem game.
Why the fuck would they do that, Nintendo?
And now it's gone.
Why?
You can't download it anymore.
Oh my gosh. That is sad. My disappointment is immeasurable and my day has been ruined.
And yeah, it's still a shame Mario 35 is gone. What the fuck, Nintendo?
Yeah, that's the other thing, because I knew Mario 35 was on its way out. That was a fun online game. Like, it was a nice game to play, like, to relax after work, you know? And I just love the battle royale aspect, like, playing Mario against 34 other people. And you're just going through. It's fun. Like, if you're good at platformers, you would find a lot of enjoyment of it because it's gone now. But I loved it for what it was.
Mm-hmm. Enjoy Pac-Man 99 while you can.
Please don't tell me that's getting delisted too. Did I miss that?
I have no idea.
No. Okay, good, because I love Pac-Man 99. I've won like 3 times. I don't want that game to go away. It's a battle royale I'm actually good at.
You know what mine was? Mario 35, and it's gone! Son of a bitch!
I know.
But, so Kara, what have you been playing lately?
What I have been playing lately?
Yeah.
Well, I know that you want this game, but I've been playing a lot of new Pokemon Snap, and that game is a lot of fun.
I've wanted to play that for a while.
Yeah, it's really fun. There's lots of new content. Everything is so pretty in that game, and you can like filter your images, add borders, add stickers and stuff, and I've made like lots of cute pictures. It's been really fun to play. I beat it a couple days ago, but yeah. You would definitely love it a lot.
I mean, I like the original Pokemon Snap. I definitely grew up with that.
Mm-hmm. Then you'll love this one.
How similar / different is it?
Well, for one thing, the frame rate runs faster because it's not on 64. Like, I find the camera controls to be a little bit, like, weird at times, but honestly, like, it works pretty fine. There are also, like, some requests that you can do where the professor will be like, hey, snap this at this place, you know, and you do that. And, like, I also find that there's, like, a lot of replayability as well. Because the cool thing with Snap is that, like, you have research levels, and the higher the research levels go, like, the more variety of Pokemon that you'll find. So it's not like you're doing the same thing over and over and over again. Like, you're always finding, like, something new. Like, I played through all the courses, like, multiple times, and I'm still finding stuff that I missed.
I assume you get new items, like apples and the Pester Ball and...
Yep.
Pokeflute.
Well, it's not the Pokeflute, it's another thing, but... You'll find out when you play. I don't want to, like, you know, spoil too much.
Okay,
but,
okay.
Yeah, the apples are still there. I've taken many cute pictures with the Pokemon eating their cute little apples.
Have you knocked a Pokemon unconscious with an apple?
Yes.
Oh, no!
Yes, I have.
It's back! Oh, no!
Oh my god. I'll post a video of it to Twitter if I haven't, like, by the time this podcast goes up, but there was a funny moment where I just threw an apple at a Pokemon and then boop! Poor Dedenne.
Even as a kid, I always thought it was a little bit fucked up that, like, I'm just driving in this little on-rails tank thing, and then this little Squirtle comes up, Squirtle, and I throw a fucking apple at his head!
Yeah, like, you could definitely throw the apples and stuff. And it's so funny, because, like, for some of the pictures that I've taken, throwing an apple at it will cause the star rating to go up. So, like, I had, like, a 2-star picture of, like, a Raichu, for example, right? And I throw an apple at it, and I take a picture right as, like, it gets hit, and the professor's like, oh, we'll bump it up, higher score.
God, I forget which animal it was, which Pokemon it was, but I just remember in the original Snap, there was one you just, like, hit in the head, and then it would just, like, fall over and just lay there for the rest of the race. You'd, like, turn around to look at it. You'd turn around to look at it, and it's still lying there unconscious, and you're just like, oh, God, what have I done?
Oh my gosh.
What have I... And then there's, like, the other things where, like, you know, you throw an apple at Charmeleon and knock it into the lava pool.
Yeah.
But it evolves, so that's okay. No pain, no gain. No pain, no gain.
Yeah, there are a couple of callbacks to the original that I think, like, people who played it before appreciated. I did. So, yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to try it. Can't wait.
Yes, it's great. The other game that I've been playing aside from new Pokemon Snap is Final Fantasy VIII.
The most polarizing Final Fantasy of all time.
Yes. I was told going into this game that it was polarizing and that there were people who loved it, but there were also people who hated it.
And what's your verdict?
I think it's fine. Like, at first, I was confused with the battle system. Like, I remember texting you multiple times where I'm like, how does drawing work? How the fuck does this work? I remember, like, you had to literally jump in a Discord call with me to tell me, like, how to junction everything. And I'm like, so I don't junction here? Or, wait, what? You know?
And I remember I was explaining things pretty well for the first 20 minutes, but then I decided to actually put in my copy of Final Fantasy VIII and turn it on my PlayStation 2, just so I could see all the menu icons and where they lead to and where they go. And I was like, okay, now I know this thing, so I'm going to tell you how to junction this and do that and do that and do this.
Yeah.
Go to your GF menu, go to like Strength J on Shiva. Once you master that, she'll be able to apply magic to strength.
And I was like, Strength J, what the fuck is that? What's Strength J? Where do I find that?
What are you talking about? This is gobbledygook. None of this makes any sense.
Yeah. So I appreciate your help a lot there. Once I got it, though. Oh, man. Oh my god. The battle system's so easy to break.
Right?
Like, I mastered it, and once I realized what to do, I'm like, oh, I see what you have to do. So I'm gonna draw as much magic as possible. I'm gonna get all these Kiragas and lives, and I'm just gonna stack everyone with them.
I remember feeling very envious, very jealous, because you're playing the Final Fantasy VIII Remastered Edition.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Now here's the thing. When I did my FF8 video for the Final Fantasy retrospective, this version did not exist. You know, it did not exist. It was not on PlayStation 4 or anything. And people were asking for it on Twitter when, like, all these games were being ported to the Switch, because it was like, we got 7 on Switch, 9 on Switch, 10 and 10-2 on Switch, 12 on Switch, the Chocobo games on Switch, Crystal Chronicles on Switch. And it's like, bruh, you missed one. where the hell is Final Fantasy VIII? I can't believe you hate Final Fantasy VIII that much. You're not bringing it. And then eventually, a few months later, they're like, Final Fantasy VIII Remastered. And it's like, okay, there it is.
Oh,
but
yeah.
the thing about these remasters, every time they put them on PS4 or Steam or whatever, is they add features that are different from the original. And with Final Fantasy VII, 8, and 9, there is not only the option to eliminate random encounters, so you don't run into anything, but you can also speed up the game.
Mm-hmm. Anything wrong with that?
So consider that when I do my Final Fantasy VIII video about Final Fantasy VIII, the product I know, I have to wait 20 minutes to get all the draw spells for my party. I have to wait another 10 minutes just to get 100 stones, 100 Esanas, 100 meteor spells, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have to wait and wait and wait and watch that draw animation over and over and over and over again. But I'm talking with you on Discord after I've just told you how to play the game. Yeah. And it's like, oh, I got 300 spells. I'm like, what? It's only been like 5 minutes. What are you talking about? What?
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, I got 300 fires, 300 blizzards, 300 thunders. They're all good to go. Let's go.
You spoiled child.
And
back in my day.
And it's funny too, because like the fast forward feature, that also applies to the missions, because when you fast forward, it doesn't affect the timer.
Oh, right.
You know how the timer will go off in like certain areas? Like when you use the fast forward feature, the timer doesn't go 3 times forward. It stays the same. So the Dalit train mission, that took me like 45 seconds in game time to do.
I find that's an amazing oversight. Like, the robot spider is chasing you and the clock is fine. The train is moving a lot and the clock is fine.
Yup.
Wow. Should have done it legit. It would have been the authentic Final Fantasy VIII experience.
See, that's the thing, though, because I feel like I wouldn't have enjoyed this game as much if I played the original. If only for the fact that, like, without that feature, drawing magic would be a slow time. Like, your GF summons are, you know, like, you have to sit through that whole animation. Like, that's also slow. But with the fast forward feature, I could just be like, da-da-da-da-da, it's done. I can't imagine myself having the patience to sit through, you know, like, everything.
Yeah.
Again, like, I feel like my opinion of the game would be low if I just played the original, but I'm glad I played remastered. Because drawing magic was like a breeze.
Yeah. I just, you know, when I made my FF8 video, remastered didn't exist. So when people ask, you know, just play remastered, it speeds up the time. Didn't exist when I made that video. Didn't exist. So, yeah, the game is a lot quicker now if you choose to get it in the year of our Lord 2021. But other than, like, the gameplay, what'd you think of the story? What'd you think of the music? What'd you think of the whole overall presentation?
Oh, the presentation was wonderful. Like, I liked the story. I vibed with the characters a lot. I liked everyone, like Squall and Clistus and Rinoa and Zell and Irvine, I don't know. I think it's Irvine.
I say Irvine.
Okay, I'm gonna say Irvine as well. Like, I like the characters a lot. Like, I didn't vibe with them as much as Final Fantasy X, because that's my favorite Final Fantasy. That's my favorite cast of characters in an RPG. But, like, there is still a lot of, like, great characterization going on with the cast. And I enjoyed the story. And just the music is so beautiful. Oh my god, I love the soundtrack. I love the soundtrack so much.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great music in it.
I think even people who don't like Final Fantasy VIII all agree that, like, the soundtrack is still, like, golden age of Final Fantasy right here.
For sure, for sure.
But yeah, it's always been a polarizing game. I've always enjoyed it, but there are certainly things about it that are lesser compared to the other Final Fantasies. And again, I have the baggage of I didn't have a fast forward feature when I was younger, when I played it. So it is one of those games that, like, I remember I would show Final Fantasy VIII to my friends because, like, they would get into 7. Everybody gets into 7. My friend has a friggin' Buster Sword tattoo because he loves Final Fantasy VII that much. And yet, despite having a Buster Sword tattoo, you would think that he must like all the Final Fantasy games. He must love every one of them. And it's like, nah, he likes 7. That's, like, he doesn't like anything else. He doesn't play, like, 9, he doesn't play 8, he doesn't play 15 or any of the new ones. He just loves 7 because 7 is somehow bigger than Final Fantasy.
It's an iconic game.
I tried showing them Final Fantasy VIII and I told them how to play, and I told them this is the gameplay. This is the game. Like, watching the characters draw. I can do that 11, 12 more times. Draw. And it's much slower than how I'm describing it.
Yep.
They're just watching the screen, they're watching the footage, and they're just like, this looks boring, man. I can't argue with that.
Now have them play the remastered version.
I guess so,
remastered.
I guess so.
Yeah, and that's what I would recommend, like, everyone play this game going forward, because, like, if you don't have the patience to sit through, like, a lot of slow animations and a lot of slow drawing sections, like, at least play through remastered, so at least you have the fast forward feature.
Yeah. It's certainly an interesting experience. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, just Balam Garden was, like, my favorite thing, because, one, the music is very nostalgic and iconic. Like,
it's so pretty. I love the music in Balam.
Every time I just think of Balam Garden, I just think of, like, doom, doom, doom. Dun 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 dun.
I want to be a teacher in Balam.
Right?
Yeah.
At the very least, you'd have a cafeteria with the greatest hot dogs ever made.
Right. There's this one mission in the game. I think it was the one where, like, what's the other garden? What's its name?
Galbadia?
Yeah, Galbadia. Like the whole fight that was going on. And you're in charge of everyone, and you have to go to the PA and tell everyone what to do. So I was like, cafeteria workers, collect the hot dogs and protect them. Do not let the other Galbadia students get them. Because it's true, you gotta protect the dogs. Those are our hot dogs, damn it.
This is Sorceress Adia's real plan, okay? She's looking for the recipe of those hot dogs, and once she has those, world domination is at her fingertips. It's over.
Just bites into a hot dog, and you hear da 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 play when we're eating the hot dogs.
Eyes on me from the perspective of a hot dog.
Shall I be the wiener for you?
That line will be great for a porno. That line.
And it's the Final Fantasy VIII porno. It's like no, Squall and Rinoa found Ragnarok, and they were descending down, and you know they just do it in the ship.
Good lord. But
Yep.
you know, the music's iconic. The setting is so. I bonded with it. I don't know. I always wanted to live in Belum Garden. I always wanted to go to school there. I always thought it'd be so much fun to walk down those hallways with the river streams and, hey, I'm gonna go fight a T-Rex. Who wants to come with me?
Yeah, like, there are a lot of great settings in this game too. I think the scenery is really pretty. Specifically, like, I was shown this song before I played the game, but Fisherman's Horizon is also a very wonderful song.
Might be my favorite town theme in any Final Fantasy game ever.
Ooh.
Yeah. Like, when I think of, like, a peaceful town that I would like to go walk around in, Fisherman's Horizon is, like, number one. Number one for its theme song alone.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have an alternative?
Yes, I do. I forget what the city's called, but, it's the big capital city. What's it called again? I forgot. The one where you ride the bus everywhere.
Delling City.
Yes, Delling City. I love the song in Delling City.
Yeah, that's great.
I just love that do 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 do. Like, it sounds like it's catchy, it's sleazy, you know, if it's the vibe and tone of the game at that point. And I thought that was good.
Yeah. Good stuff. It's good stuff.
Yep. So, like, it doesn't rank up among my favorite Final Fantasies. But for me personally, like, I can see why it's polarized. I can see why a lot of people don't like it. But, like, in my experience, I had fun with it. Once I figured out what to do with the battle system, it was great.
Yeah. Well, everyone knows my thoughts on Final Fantasy VIII because I made a video about it.
Just watch the hour-and-a-half video right now.
It's really good. Watch my entire Clement Remembers Final Fantasy retrospective. Haha.
The entire thing? All of it?
And spend 24 hours doing it. That's right. Marathon it. Marathon it.
The whole thing.
Watch it in the bathroom.
Like, there's still some Final Fantasy games that I need to play. What haven't I played? 12 I'm interested in. I need to get a copy of it.
Oh, okay.
5 I'm also interested in. I hear it's very hard though, and I don't know where I would get a copy of it. I don't know.
It's more challenging than the others. I mean, you can get a copy on Steam. It's just...
But I don't want to play with those. I don't want to play with the Android, you know, like the port. It looks like... It looks gross to me. I remember when they made the announcement that Final Fantasy VI was coming to Steam, and I'm like, fuck yeah, I love Final Fantasy VI, but then...
Oh no!
It doesn't look good. Oh no. Mm-mm-mm.
Yeah, Square is one of those companies that's always obsessed with just updating the visuals, updating how these games play. So it's like, Final Fantasy IV, there's been like a million versions of Final Fantasy IV.
Oh yeah.
Like... There was the Super Nintendo, there was the Game Boy Advance, there was the PSP, there's the 3D DS version, and the 3D Steam version. Like, whatever the original remnants of Final Fantasy IV were, you never see that anymore, you know?
Which is a shame, because I find that look like, you know, like, early to mid-90s Super Nintendo, like, JRPG, like, pixel aesthetic. Like, it's endearing.
Yeah. to me, it's like legacy. It's like, it's nice to see how a series has evolved and gotten to this point. Like Final Fantasy 15, Final Fantasy 16, they look nothing like the original Final Fantasy. They couldn't be more different. And I just think it's great when you see the NES sprites and the green grass and the black backgrounds, the black borders when you're in fights and stuff. Like, that's how it started. That's the legacy. That's what it was. And like, don't get me wrong, you know, I love the new features of the PSP version where there's extra dungeons and extra boss fights and higher level caps or something or whatever. But you could do that with the old graphics. I don't know. But I'm just one of those old fossils, so.
Well, sometimes old fossils are right.
I'm just so nitpicky with like little details where it's like Final Fantasy VIII Remaster even, you know? You remember that meme where everyone's making fun of the ballroom scene because Renoa's like, you're the best looking guy here.
Yep.
And the PlayStation graphics are so low detailed that he just looks like a weird disfigured person, you know? And now, with the remaster, they have updated models, they have updated faces and stuff, and yeah, they look prettier, they look a lot better, but I'm like, as the person who knows what they used to be like, as the person who remembers the PlayStation version, I'm like, that's not Squall! Why isn't this authentic? Yeah, it looks better, but by looking better, it looks worse.
I get you there. I totes you. Oh no, I'm sorry. With Final Fantasy VII Remake, you can't have pointy Tifa boobs. I'm so sorry about that, gamers.
God, can you believe how flat Tifa is in the 7 Remake? So flat.
Oh
Good lord.
God. That's
no boobs at all.
That's so stupid. Oh my god.
Every single problem in video gaming is almost always about whether a girl is sexy or not. Like,
yeah.
Every time anyone talks about censorship, it's gonna be about a girl not wearing revealing clothing and stuff, and it's just like, I don't care.
No.
It's like people skipped out on Tokyo Mirage Sessions because
I was just thinking of that example. Yeah.
Oh no, she doesn't show her arms anymore. Oh, but the original intent, her arms are covered up, and it's like, who cares?
I think that's where vagina bones came from too, and I'm like, what? The fuck?
Vagina bones.
I'm like, what is with y'all? Do something other than playing video games. I don't know. Go outside. Get some fresh air. Get a new hobby. Watch some wrestling. I don't know.
Well, Kara, that was enlightening.
That was a very fun time. It was swell. It was hunky-dory. It was brilliant. Fantastic.
Good, great, outstanding, amazing! But yeah, folks, that's it for today's podcast. We're going to keep this going. We're going to make this a regular thing.
Yes.
And we're going to come back next month with another one, and then the month after that, and then the month after that, and then the month after that. Constant C-squared on this channel, not interrupting your playthroughs. It's just a nice thing that if you want to listen to it, it's there. If you don't, just ignore it and go watch me play some more not Mega Man or Sonic games.
But I will stand in a corner and be very sad. Don't ignore me.
Do you want to make this girl sad? Come on, look at her me avatar in the top of the screen right now. Come on.
You don't want a frowny face on that, do you?
I don't want to customize it to have a frowny face, that's for sure.
Nope.
But I could. But I so could.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to reflect reality.
But yeah, for real, this is fun. I love doing this.
Mm-hmm.
It's fantastic.
I don't know, I think maybe we'll have some kind of like fan mailbag section at some point, because I'm sure that people have a lot of questions they want to ask the both of us, and, you know, that'd be good for a topic or two.
Yeah, it'd be a fun segment to do, you know, like on those radio shows.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It would be swell.
Yes.
But, yeah, I am the Great Clement.
And I am Caro.
And we'll see you guys next month.
Bye.